Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jim Kleiber Show. Today is Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. It's a new year, but doesn't really feel like a new year. the uh, the days look the same. The news cycle is kind of the same. I guess really the external environment hasn't changed too much, but have you changed on the inside? Have we changed in the internal environment? Have we made decisions to do certain resolutions? Have we made decisions to start something, to stop something, to change how we're doing something, to have the courage to do something, um, or to have the strength to do something? I look at the external environment, and then really it's the same. But for me, it's felt a little different internally. I felt a little more motivated. I felt a little more organized, a little more hopeful in some ways, just because the changing of the year. And I guess to talk about this is to talk about how our environment matters, but what matters more is how we respond to it. And, I signed up for this program that one of my friends is running. And one of the exercises was for us to imagine, I really don't know how to pronounce it, but I believe it's a Danish word like hygge or something. Hygge. It's just, apparently it means something like coziness. It was a concept that went around. There are a couple books about it a couple years ago. And it's one of those trendy things that people have talked about. And I tried to imagine having cozy places in the house where I'm at now, and I struggled. I struggled to find, okay, this spot equals cozy for me. Every time I walk into the spot, I automatically transform into this mushy, cozy being. And it's funny because if I think about my life and I go all the way back, there have been times when some of these places in this house have felt incredibly cozy. And then I thought about it and I'm like, it's not really the place or the thing. It's more about how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling stressed out about one thing, sometimes going into that cozy place doesn't feel cozy. I don't know about you, but I can reflect on different times when I've had massages in my life. And sometimes I've gone into the massage and I was super stressed out or super worried or anxious about something. And throughout the massage, I was super worried and anxious and nervous. Versus other times when I've gone in and I felt really relaxed. It could have been the same room, the same person, the same setting. But really what was different was kind of the emotions or the feelings that I was carrying on the inside. And so when I thought about this idea of, again, butchering the name, hygge, that's my guess. Just basically looking at it and trying to apply a Danish accent. But when I think about that concept, I wonder how much of it can be controlled by just paying attention to how we're feeling and wanting to feel certain things. So, for example, right now, I'm in a basement. It's cold. There's some bright light shining on me. There's a sheet behind me. And I'm wearing kind of a buttoned-up shirt. And so maybe it's not supposed to feel cozy. But maybe if I want to feel cozy and I intentionally want to feel that type of emotion, maybe I can sit down in the chair a little bit. I can kind of snuggle up to the back of the chair a little bit more. I can kind of toss my shoulders up. I even felt it right there, like my face, like this certain relaxation. And for me, a lot of coziness is really just feeling relaxed, but also joyful. It's like when you snuggle into the pillow and you're like, oh, this feels so good. And then the big smile comes across your face. So do I need any specific external stimulus to cause that? Or can I create that feeling myself? Sure, maybe external stimuli can add to it. But sometimes if we're feeling something on the inside that's totally different, like we're full of anger, it's hard to feel cozy. Somebody gives you a hug, a very nice, warm, cozy hug. But if you're feeling angry, it's hard to maintain, it's hard to get into that cozy feeling sometimes. So I guess this talk is about how we can very often blame what's happening outside of us for how we're feeling instead of try to change how we're feeling from the inside, to try to feel certain things. You know, some exercises I'll do, I don't know, what do I call them? Kind of like an emotional stability exercise where I'll be sitting here and I'll be like, okay, I want to feel joy. And so I try to focus on feeling joy. I'm just like, joy, joy. And I notice I start looking around. I start seeing the Halloween decorations, you know. A smile comes to my face. I see the leaves outside, or I see my neighbor's house and I think about him mowing the lawn all the time. So just by transforming, okay, let me think about joy, I started to go into that. And then I could cycle to a different emotion. I could cycle to sadness. Be like, okay, sadness. And I start to look down. I feel tears come up to the eyes. I start thinking about how long of a year it's been and how many people have died and how many people have suffered. I started thinking about kind of my physical health and how I'm not, when the pandemic started, I wanted to be in really good physical health. That's why I said, the way to fight the pandemic is to be in good health. And then I got distracted and lethargic and I feel my body contract and I look down. Okay, that's sad, but what if I want to feel strong? Maybe I want to feel strong. Find myself sit up a little more. I feel more blood rush to the chest. I feel kind of my shoulders relax and drop down. I think of, what comes to mind is, wow, I've done this is the 95th episode of this podcast. Before that, I wrote 105 essays in a 35-day period. I'm still here. I'm still healthy. And it's amazing, just that quick switch, how like my body is going and having different thoughts. My posture is different. My breathing is different. My tone is different when I'm speaking, I imagine. My eye contact is different. When I was sad, I was looking down. Strong, I'm looking straight into the camera. Joy, I was looking all around. And a lot of this was just from saying, okay, I want to feel this right now, and then trying to feel it. So I think a lot of us can get caught up in this. Oh, this person is making me feel this way. This thing is making me feel this way. The election is making me feel anxious. The COVID-19 is making me feel afraid. Losing my house is making me feel terrified. Or 2020 made me feel really sad. Yeah, the external stimulus can cause certain emotions or can elevate them. But we can also choose and try to feel different emotions on our own without the stimulus. I could sit here with like no change in environment and just try to cycle through different emotions like I did before. Have you ever tried that? Have you ever said, okay, I actually just want to feel relaxed right now? Or I want to feel calm, or I want to feel excited, or I want to feel proud, or I want to feel like surrender, or I want to feel strong, or I want to feel vulnerable, or I want to feel open, or I want to feel angry. Sometimes they actually want to feel angry. Sometimes, don't worry about it, or it's not a big deal, let it go. It's like, no, I want to feel angry. Let me feel angry. So I talk about this because I think so many of us, I don't know, I speak for myself. I think sometimes I can feel trapped by my environment and blame the environment. I remember I was living in Los Angeles, and I lived right next to the highway. And there was also a side road right there with a lot of stop signs. And so as I'd go to sleep, there'd always be some person, I'd get really angry at them. There'd be some person on a motorcycle, a loud motorcycle, going down the highway at like 3 a.m, or on the side street, starting and stopping, or a big truck that would start and stop. And so they put on their air brakes. which is the horrible impression of a big truck. And I'd blame so much. I'm not sleeping well because of that. And I thought, there was a lot of lights out there because I had the street lights. I'm not sleeping well because of the street lights. So I put in a blackout curtain. I tried to, get rid of the sound. It may have helped a little bit, but it didn't really help that much. Back here in Michigan, I'm in the suburbs. It's super quiet. It's super dark. I'm still not sleeping well at times. So my environment changed to be what I would, quote, consider the ideal environment for sleeping. And it doesn't really matter because maybe it doesn't have that much to do with what's happening outside. It has more to do with what's happening on the inside. And so I try to remember this because I think a lot about politics and frankly, the external rules of society. How are we supposed to interact with each other? The external environment, the roads, the infrastructure, things like this. And I keep coming back to this thing, like, even if we had the perfect government, there would be some people who are still stuck in anger all the time. There would be some of us who are still stuck in sadness, some of us who are still stuck in joy, or stuck in kind of numbness, or stuck in different emotional states, regardless of what's happening outside. It's the person who, is kind of ornery and angry at the world and makes like $1 million or $10 million or $100 million and is still ornery and angry at the world. Like, they're angry that they were poor. Now they're angry at something else. Like, I think this idea of hoping and waiting for the external reality to change how we're feeling and to magically transport us into a different emotional state is just that. It's a magical belief in many ways. Sometimes it happens, but a lot of times I think what matters more is what's happening within us. Have you experienced this at all? Like, have you said, okay, if I only get this, I'm going to feel this. If I get that job, I'm going to feel strong and proud. Or if I get into that relationship, then I'm going to feel loved. Or if I get all this money, then I'm going to feel confident. Or if I get all this, if I put in this new security system, I'm going to feel safe. Really? Is that what happens, though? Do you actually? And if you do, how long does it last? I'm not saying these external things can't help. I think they do help, right? Putting on a suit can make some people feel stronger and more confident in many ways. So I think, I'm not trying to say that it doesn't matter at all, that the external things that happen to us are meaningless and have no impact on us and how we're feeling. I just think sometimes we overemphasize the impact that they're having on us. And we forget that we can control a lot from the inside out. By the way, I love that movie Inside Out. I love that movie Inside Out. I think it actually, speaks to this a lot, that there are things that are happening in our environment and we can blame them all the time for what's going on. Or we can recognize their impact on us, and we can also recognize the impact that we can have from the inside out. And I don't know. I just look at what's going on in the U.S. politically and what's going on around the world. And what I hear a lot on the internet is just seems like, oh, it's this person's fault. This person's ruining my life. This system is ruining my life. This belief is ruining my life. This, all these things from the outside are ruining my life. It's like, yes, and they contribute to it. And what can we do to change it from the inside? Like I said, I can sit here and say, oh, I'm stuck in the house, and God, I've been in the house for so long. I miss people so much. It's all Trump's fault. Trump has botched this pandemic response, and and all those people who wouldn't wear masks, how stupid were they being, et cetera, et cetera. This is why I'm so angry, and this is why I'm so, frustrated and sad. Or I can go, they gave me a gift. How often in my life do I get to spend this much time with my parents in my childhood home? What an opportunity to be able to go through my stuff, and the stuff in the basement and all these old things that we've collected from childhood and stuff like that. What an opportunity to be able to go through that with my parents and when my sister was home. To reminisce about some of the old toys, to laugh at some of the old shirts. I found a t-shirt from the first concert I ever went to, MC Hammer, with the opening act of Boys to Men. Man, I must have been 5, so we're talking 30 years ago. I'm still looking out for the parachute pants, but I hope to find them soon. But like this, what an opportunity. And so nothing actually changed. The only thing that changed was my perspective on it. And if I want to feel grateful, a lot of times the thoughts come, different thoughts come into my mind. So if I want to feel sad and angry, well, then I'm sad that, I haven't seen a lot of my friends. I'm sad that I can't go overseas and travel internationally, and I don't know when I will, because that's where a lot of my close friends are. Frustrated with a lot of things that I've done and mostly haven't done with work. I can, when I focus on that sadness and the things that I've lost, all of these other thoughts and associated feelings flood into my mind. But if I choose to focus on being cozy, it's like I'm at home. It's winter. I'm at home. This is my home. This is the most stable home I've ever known. To be here, to be grounded, to be around my parents, to just even have the same sound of the sump pump that I've pretty much heard my whole life. The water dripping into the sump. It is a feeling of coziness. And I can even feel almost tears come to my eyes right now. It's a certain level of happiness that I just created on the spot. Rather, didn't just create, I just evoked on the spot. It's there. It's within me. But I just shifted the attention to try to feel something else, to see what happens, to see what comes up. And I think, sometimes this process can scare the hell out of me. And maybe you as well, because if I sit in here and I focus on trying to feel weak, what's going to come up? Am I going to think about how, physically, my muscles are in the worst shape they've probably been in my whole life? That's the first thought that came to my mind. Weak. Think about how I've gained weight. Weak. Think about how my bank account is not doing well. If I just sit here and I focus on the emotion, it can scare the crap out of me. But in a way, it can also motivate me. Oh, wow, I forgot. I hadn't realized. I've been avoiding this for so long. If I think about feeling strong, it's like I'm healthy. I'm not worried that I have COVID. I shift, instead of thinking I haven't done anything for work. Oh, what's wrong with me? Woe is me. I shift into, wow, I have done a lot. Again, this is 95 podcast episodes, and all the people that I've met through Tinder or through Twitter or through Instagram or through Clubhouse, the people that I've met through Zoom calls or stuff like this over the last year, the people that I've helped deal with emotional conflict in their lives or help them just feel more comfortable expressing their emotions, I feel quite strong. But just a simple little shift, just in mere moments. Okay, what if I try to feel hopeful? What do I feel hopeful for? There's an election today where the Democrats may win. I feel hopeful that if the Democrats win, there will be significant change to how some of the laws being enforced in the country and some of the policies that may look forward. I feel hopeful to have Joe Biden in office to express grief and to talk about grief. more than any other president, I think, have in my lifetime. I feel hopeful for the work that I'm doing, that even if it doesn't affect the masses, that it's having some impact on some people. I feel hopeful that I'm going to get in shape this year. That I may be even stronger than I was before because I'm more dedicated, I'm more grounded in it. I feel hopeful. Let me see, hopeful. Again, almost tears come to my eyes just thinking about being hopeful. It's been a while since I've felt hopeful. I think this whole year I've been looking forward, and this past year I looked forward with dread. Oh, it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse. Oh, people are just going to be stupid and make more mistakes, and people are going to lose their discipline, and it's going to just spiral out of control, and people are going to, the evictions and all this stuff that's coming, it's going to hurt so many people. But that's kind of the default emotion maybe I jumped into. What if I intentionally try to feel something else? And that's what this whole talk has been about. Just trying to intentionally feel something else and seeing what happens, seeing what results from focusing on feeling that emotion. It's kind of like an emotional meditation. I think a lot of times when we meditate, I haven't done it much, so this is kind of the outside stereotype that I may have on it. I think a lot of times meditation focuses on a specific emotion of calm or peace, trying to feel calm or trying to feel peaceful, trying to feel relaxed. I don't know too many meditations that focus on trying to feel sad, or too many meditations that try to focus on feeling hopeful. I mean, there's loving kindness. I think that one tries to focus on feeling kind of love and affection towards others. But like any meditations focused on feeling angry or feeling weak or feeling vulnerable or feeling confused, I don't know too many of those. Feeling horny, meditating and trying to put ourselves into a specific emotional state. Again, and seeing what happens. What are the outcomes of trying to focus on feeling angry? What are the things that we've been avoiding that have been making us feel really angry, but we haven't noticed it? And what impact does the anger have on our body, on our thoughts, on the way that we speak, on the speed with which we move through life, on how much food that we're eating, how we're eating it? I try to do this activity sometimes when I'm eating. Okay, I'll cycle through these different emotions. I'll be like, okay, while I'm eating, I'm going to try to be angry. And I can feel myself like tense up, or if I'm like really excited, I can feel myself eating a lot faster. Or if I do sadness, sometimes I can feel the appetite just disappear. If I'm really sad, like a lot of times my stomach will get upset and I won't want to eat anymore. Or if I'm feeling joy, I'll eat the food, but I'll be looking around. It's not just the food, it's the full environment. I'm really soaking up what's going on. So yeah, it's just an exercise that you may want to practice, just to see how it impacts you and to see how these emotions, feeling an emotion, how it cascades or trickles down into other aspects of our lives. Somebody posted on a Facebook group the other day about trying to resolve conflict. They have a person that they're seeing that the person gets very kind of short and angry with people and somewhat violent and throwing things, not at people, but around the room. And then said, that person's a nurse. And the person's been stressed out from nursing and maybe this and that, very hard work. But what if that person, even though stressed out, came home and says, what, I'm at home now. I want to focus on feeling relaxed, because there's no way that I can deal with all that stuff at work if I don't have at least an hour of relaxation, or at least an hour of feeling joy, or 20 minutes of feeling hope, to try to remember that emotional balance, that life is not just about feeling one emotion the whole time. I tell people this, they're like, oh, I want to be happy, or I want to be relaxed. I'm like, you just want to be happy or relaxed? What if you watched a movie where there was only one emotion? Imagine watching a movie where everyone was happy the whole movie. That would frustrate the hell out of me. I'd be so bored, actually. It kind of reminds me of, was it The Truman Show? I think it was The Truman Show, when everything was perfect and everyone was so happy. Everyone was filled with joy, bouncing around the whole time. It didn't last. It was a charade. Because that's not how life is. Life is full of emotions, all the different emotions, and I think the emotions help us help remind us of what's important, what we want to do in life, what we care about, and so many other things, and how to survive. The emotions are here to help us, and a lot of times we ignore many of them, and we don't want to feel certain ones. Or forget to feel about them, forget to feel them. So today was just a reminder to say, no matter what's happening in the external world with COVID-19, with the financial woes that may come as a result, any conflict that you're having in your relationships or politically or personally or anything, that we can always just try to feel different emotions, just even for a minute. We can always just say, hey, you know what? For this next 30 seconds, I'm just going to feel joy and see what happens. Even paying attention to the resistance that we have to feeling it. Maybe if we're super angry and be like, oh, feel joy. Like, oh, screw that. I'm not going to feel joy. Oh, who is this telling me to feel joy? And be like, wow, why am I so angry about feeling joy? I don't know. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've felt my demeanor change over this call just by by focusing on trying to feel different emotions. I think I can feel really stressed out on some of these calls, really nervous that I'm not saying that's something that's quite important enough or politically connected enough that's going to make people feel confident and strong and have these big realizations. But yeah, I think I feel honestly kind of a relaxation, kind of a joy. Maybe I ended up feeling cozy without intentionally trying to feel cozy. Trying to feel cozy earlier and then stumbling on cozy near the end. Yeah. Even the floorboards creaking above right now, I'm like, because I'm in this joyful state. It's like, they feel so comforting. Whereas I can tell you many times recording over this past year, I have been so angry and frustrated when I heard those floorboards creak. Why are you creaking? I'm trying to record a perfect audio. Who are you? What is wrong with you? Why are you still standing there? I can't believe you're doing this. I so many thoughts because I was so stressed and so focused. But just amazing how these stimuli, we can perceive them very differently when we're in a different emotional state. So I say that to hopefully give you something to practice and something to try. And anyways, I'm grateful for you listening to this, and I hope it inspires what to breathe life into. That is one of the original meanings. And I hope that this breathes some life into you as it has to me. So take care and see you soon, y'all. Take care, y'all. I'm so bad at this catchphrase thing.